Today's episode is presented by Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th from the horror section. Writer and director Eli Roth wants you to cool off this summer in Baleen Bay, an idyllic small town that melts into sheer terror when an ice cream man serves up soft-serve sweets with harrowing hardcore horror. Ari Miller stars as the titular terror, topped with music by Snoop Dogg and effects by Oscar winner Adrian Moreau and Steve Newburn. Say it with me, folks. I scream, you scream. We all scream for Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th. Get tickets now.
From the co-creator of Welcome to Night Vale comes a sequel series to the hit podcast and the New York Times best-selling novel, Alice Isn't Dead, called Don't Tell Alice. Keisha is back out on the strange highways and back roads of America on a brand new adventure involving parallel worlds and a family tragedy that might result in the end of all life on Earth. But whatever you do, don't tell Alice. Starring Jessica Nicole of Fringe and The Good Doctor, and with a full score and sound design by Night Vale's Disparition. Available on the Alice Isn't Dead feed wherever you get your podcasts, and ad-free and a week early on Patreon. Hello, and welcome to Scare You to Sleep. I'm your host, Shelby Novak, and I'm here to read you a bedtime story. This week's episode is sponsored by Dickinson Publishing Group and author Alex Grass's latest book, Infernal Tramps, Tales of Weird Terror, which is out now, and from now until July 20th is available free to download on Amazon. The link for Infernal Tramps is in the show notes, so get your copy today. And now for the final sneak peek. This is the titular story of the book, Infernal Tramps. It began along a derelict stretch of railroad tracks, far from known depots and their night watchmen's midnight roustings. I lived in the wooded foothills overlooking the rails, sleeping out of doors, as is the wont of men with troubled hearts, and an illimitable fondness for corn whiskey. A couple-led caboose rolled to a stop on the tracks below, appearing as if from nothing. It drifted through the air in a tangled mist. It did not breach shadow or break the fog, but materialized into substance and form. A lighthouse gallery rose out of the coalescing railroad car's roof. Two dim crimson dots dilated into firelit rubies, blurrily flickering behind the cupola window. There were other windows below the cupolas, along the outer walls of the caboose, full of inert gloom. I heard pneumatics hiss as release valves were let. The rear door of the caboose slid open, and even from my far remove I could smell the meaty reek of a carcass's rot. An oil lantern mounted beside the sliding door shone over a long-limbed hunchback, emerging from the car, wearing a belted wrap coat, bringing with her a bouquet of oil heat, hook bait, and outhouse shit. Her hands were 3 times the length and girth of human hands. The top of her head almost kissed the rail car's roof. Her chest moved up and down, the movement more mechanical than biological. Under her wrap's ragged drape, She untied the belt of her coat, letting the front panels fall sidelong away from the gnarled humps of her naked body. Slung from her chest were translucent mammaries, interiorly mapped out in visible branches of black veins. Each breast undulated with a liquid volume of its own separate tempo. The gruesome mistress picked up a bundle concealed nearby. The cry of an infant child escaped its cotton sling. She let the bundle fall to the ground from where she stood on the end platform. I choked on my tongue, but I did nothing. All who hide are wont to never do, and a drunk who lives alone out of doors is hiding. Even if, permitting a tired cliche, I was only hiding from myself. The smallest dreads soak my bones, be it the paranoid certainty of being watched in a grocery store line, the nagging thought of an unknown debt, a vague notion of some undiagnosable illness coring out my organs. My fears are in my marrow. I am a filthy wretch, roaming. That is the sort of man I've come to be. I did not go to the infant once dropped by its nursemaid. I did not even go down the same night the child was dropped. I waited until there was no doubt the nightmarish harpy had cut and run. Waited wary as a rat. It was halfway through my morning that I had liquid courage enough to slide down the hillside. I searched the ballast and surrounding muck-swollen swale near where I'd seen the child dropped. The bundle lay open but empty. No, that couldn't be. I know I'd heard it. Though what exactly had I heard? Because I had been leaning too long on my bootleg crutch to rule out auditory hallucinations. Too many moons of moonshine, bringing florid psychosis to bloom. There were other terrible possibilities, of course. The kid could have been snatched up by the local wildlife. If it had been dropped from the rail car, it surely would have wailed long and hard enough for something hungry to hear its wailing. Neither fox nor bobcat shouldn't delight in so easy a meal. At any rate, I went to go look. I found it, stranded just past the rip-rap ringed around the tracks. It crawled, body slick with slime, out of a discarded oil drum. What it was I couldn't say, but not a normal human infant. It overtook the drum's lip and snail-trailed down the barrel, left a streak of placental mucus the color of marmalade. Its outsized head was, more or less, anatomically complete. There were ears and there were eyes, and there were teeth, lips and nose. But its head had the smooth indistinction of a mannequin's head. Its body was scaled smaller than its skull, limbs with more tendons outside than in, braided into a collagen exoskeleton. Its whole anatomy was overlaid with a translucent, chrysalid husk. What I took for its genitals were livid purple. It managed to stand, though the weight of its head sent it teetering. It immediately fell back down to the ground. This happened several times before it managed to keep upright. I stripped my ragged overcoat and bundled the creature back up as it stood. Its body seemed unable to bear even the bare weight of wool. The overcoat dragged the creature to the ground, like it was sinking into quicksand. Bewildered, it projected both the humiliation of a dog who's had an accident on the rug and the pickled stupefaction of a disorderly drunk teenager arrested while traveling abroad. It was terribly pathetic. I was a coward, but not without compassion. I picked up the creature and I carried it uphill to my campsite. I'll admit, I'd grown lonely in my long reclusion and thought myself just as terribly pathetic, if in my own way, as this helpless little freak. A malformed runt and a booze hound. Quite the pack of strays. I decided the ghoul and her phantom railcar were anathemas of my delusion, more of gravy than of grave. So I got about the business of my weird ward's upbringing. I nurtured the runt with soft food, such as was available to a drifter of no worldly means, cooking camp-fired canned beans, grinding trail mix with evaporated milk to improvise unhazardous pap. To its nourishment I added amusement, plying the orphan with tales of my youth, of adolescence's backseat fumblings, heavy petting and handprints behind fogged windows at movie theater drive-ins, hot and heavy summers under the enchantment of state fairs, cabochon bulbs, and calliope sounds, totems of light and noise against sour-faced Puritans perennially bedeviled by the haunting fear that someone somewhere may be happy. We showed a promise. Only youth, ignorant of that promise, while abusing its privileges, can demonstrate by virtue of their mindless gumption. I peppered in my adulthood's minor triumphs, scant though they'd been, touching on my brief tenure teaching, omitting the later backsliding that brought the abyss right to my heels. The creature attended to my tales, a child, enraptured. It could not comprehensively speak, but would repeat what I said, refining fluidity and rhythm as a percussionist rehearsing rudiments. It aped me as it could, felt the shape of my words on its own tongue. It grasped at every trifling sound. If I laughed, it laughed. If I sighed, it sighed. It did a passable imitation of my brooding silence. Its pantomimes became over-eager and then sometimes disquieting. A dog with a human voice box, but no corresponding complex thought. Its deformity aroused my charity where I should have expected disgust, as if I'd awakened to what once drove saints to dress lepers' wounds. The creature was not fond of me, but I treated it as my own, reserving to it the best of my beggarly things. Each night I tucked it in its brand new sleeping bag I'd stolen from the military surplus while on a bender out and about town. I painstakingly built it in our tented haven, beginning by firming up a foundation of ground sheet and pads. I swathed the walls in diamond-stitched moving blankets, tightened the guy lines, replanted stakes through the grommets to tauten the tent into homier shape. I offered it a respectable sense of place despite our straitened circumstance. I fed the runt better than I'd ever eaten, whether in lean times or plenty, gave it what I remembered of my mother's own tenderness, found a nobler purpose than fueling the death drive that motored my ceaseless dissipation along. I was not born a nihilist. I started to remember. And somehow, my best efforts, shabby though they'd been, met with appreciable results. Over several weeks, its body fattened and ruddied, became distinguishably male. He was as a gaunt stoutening on the mend. Cadaverous cheekbones filled out, no longer an internment camp escapees. His skull's size and sharp cast diminished in proportion to his growing appetite. Then came an unlikely wonder. "My name is Varric," he one day said without explanation, without prompting on my part. I was stunned, but well pleased, of course. "I'm Jerome," I said, without questioning the miracle. I was aware of the poor form of looking a gift horse in its mouth. We sat a well-spoken week together around the fire, enlivened by Varric's newfound fluency and his discovery of booze. He'd found my same relish for rot gut. I was as Abbe Faria embracing Edmond Dantes in The Count of Monte Cristo. "You are my son, Dantes. You are the child of my captivity." Orphans, however, can only be nurtured to a behavioral threshold. Nature is apt to steamroll habit, blood being thicker than water and all. I began noticing some of Varric's peculiarities. He became violently ill after eating, but never threw up his food. He instead heaved from his gut the same marmaladian gunge through which he'd slimed out the drum. Varric starkened, grew unnaturally aged. His demeanor harshened, his jaw was strong, nose hard and almost hooked, hair and boar-bristle-thick mustache, the begrimed silver of battered old jail cell bars. His body a hunched raptor's, vulturine and wiry. I imagined his hands as carrier-caked claws. He radiated hunger for food other than that I could bring. He didn't doze, but shammed sleep, cocooning in his sleeping bag at the same hour I turned in. I couldn't help but be unnerved by it. Breaking the surface of my night terrors, sleeping bag drenched with sweat, I'd find Varric eyeing me from his corner. In my nightmares, I woke into other nightmares. This set me at irreality's dubious vantage. Dreamt of waking at the witching hour, Varric feeding on stinking offal by my birth, chin bedewed by the maggoty mincemeat of roadkill. Dreamt him whispering conspiracy to fat-gutted vultures dressed in fleshy caruncles and waddles. They spoke German, and in raucous laughter catcalling deformed beer garden girls in threadbare dirndls, wildly dancing through my dreams. Their talons pinched glass tankards the size of children's beach buckets filled with human blood instead of lager. Their sharp beaks sneered impossible grins. On my waking, though I could not remember waking, Varric spoke not only more fluently than he had yet to do, but now also spoke German. He possessed an inexplicable mastery of Teutonic idiom. Da stept der Bar, the bear is dancing there, amongst other pith. This sudden polyglossia disturbed me more deeply than had his phantasmagoric arrival into my world. Thereafter, the divide between dreaming and wakefulness surrendered itself to a broader hypnagogic state. Any real thing, simulacra, unreality, materially real, I couldn't be sure I hadn't seen what I thought I had, or exactly when it was that I had seen it, whatever it was that I had or had not seen. If that's confusing, so much more so for me. I felt the air shiver. The wind was full of omens. I'm headed to town to buy hooch, I said to Varric. Tagging along? 9. I will stay here. Soon. They are coming. Who? Varric smiled and said, You shall see. I followed the railway's return route from town, hoofed it back uphill. I heard throaty laughter once I'd trudged halfway up the foothills, pushed through the wall of scrubland and spruce, concealing our tent. Tangerine pixels pierced the thicket. Pinpoints of firelight scattered the bush, will-o'-the-wisps prancing through the shrub. I tasted illusion binding its noise, and light in gusts of smoke was swallowed in the stew of strangers' laughter. Violence simmered in their kettle, waiting to boil over to brutality from glee. My feet wouldn't carry me back the way I came. Time skipped. I melted through the bush, my legs moved by the operation of an extrinsic force. There they were, sat around the blazing kindling and cordwood, each eyeing the flames' flickering, strange sway. Jerome, mein Freund, town, war es gut? A band of dead ringers, all arranged around the bonfire. Above the neck, the 3 others were Varric's doppelgangers, each the same brute face, hair and mustache bristling, cold Huskow gray. The lookalikes were meatier than Varric. Beef and brawn below the chin, square shoulders and big barreled chests. I suppose this was my runt's imagined lost litter. I got Dickel White corn whiskey, I said to justify myself. I held up the bottle wrapped in brown paper inside a plastic bag. Gut, Varric said. We are just waiting on the others. One doppelganger eased himself my way to commandeer the bottle. My resistance was brief. He wrapped his fingers around my own as I held the corn whiskey's bottleneck. He patted my hand as a sweet-natured grandfather counseling unruly offspring. Alles gut. Ich werde mich darum kümmern. Yes, Varric said, repeating, We are just waiting on the others. Oh, who else is coming? I trailed off despite a nervous compulsion to talk. Sie kehren zurück. They come now, another doppelganger said. The brutes moved their heads and looked in perfect tandem toward the footfalls of nearby approach. So came a small congress of fellow tramps and rummies, escorted by 3 or more changelings astride the flanks. Tramps shuffled in around the fire, like lab rats rolled into sleep boxes after their last circuit through the maze. They all stared at either their feet or far away. Sieben Brüder, Verein zum Fest, Varric said. His 6 strapping brethren howled. I've been to Germany once. The eldest bum broke in. He had yellow in his gray beard. The yellow could have been thatches of ginger, bleached blonde by the sun. The yellow could have been an unwashed residue of nicotine and grunge. He had yellow in his teeth, under his fingernails, on his tongue. The only un-yellow thing about him was the bedraggled drab olive of his field jacket and trousers. He used to be in the service, he said, as if explaining his fatigues. Several winos babbled assent, such as each was inclined to offer. I lived in Yorkville when I was a kid. Lots of German bakeries, said one. I met a feller who was born in Berlin, said another. I used to live in Deutschland myself, the eldest bum said. Stationed in Kaiserslautern. And what of our mother tongue, soldier? Varric's eyes slyly sought out his brothers, snickering into their chests. Never learnt. They learnt English. The sternest changeling chided his half-dozen kin. Genug, es ist Zeit, die Landesleiter zu essen. A despotic father's cadence, brooking no dissent. God damn it! A rummy, kept silent till now, spat at his own feet, lips curling in a sneer peculiar to a lifetime of disaffection compounded by drink. Corners of the rummy's eyes bore thorned wrinkles creeping over the angrily swollen bags beneath them, as if decades of unceasing agitation seeped through his flesh. Tear ducts, gummy, watery gut, almost gestationally round, eyes jaundice yellow, but for the burst capillaries puddling his sclera cheap lipstick red. Is we here to get hammered? Or is we ain't? All this unholy horse shit. I say it's time we get loose, Fritz. Fucking fish. Or cut bait. Varric and brethren hauled weighted glances between them. One who'd relieved me of the whiskey bottle brought it to Varric, put it in his hand. The gold and white shrink band, a telltale for tampering, was stripped off the finish. I saw the Marmaladian gunge dissolve inside. It didn't prompt me to act, and I can't say why it should not have done. Varric held the bottle to the agitator. Here, Bruder, he said. The first sacrament is yours. Viertet uns die Gefallenen, anstelle ihres Gottes. Sounds like a prayer, the eldest bum said. That a prayer? The agitator swiped the bottle from Varric's hand and hollered, Hallelujah! Then tore himself off a tenacious guzzle. Everyone else would drink in their turn. That night I dreamt of 7 vultures. They roosted around a circle of dying trees, the branches overhanging a midden teeming with rats. A smoldering fire dead center of the unpeopled campsite, sky swarming with nautical twilight's liminal gloom, night swirling away against the skyward crawl of day. I heard eruptions of hooligan laughter. They trailed away in a Doppler shift blunted by the morning mist. My head ached. Shreds of gamey meat soaked in alcohol and sleep, wedged in my teeth and gums. An outfit I'd once gave Varric was now neatly folded beside the smoldering fire, beside 6 other tidy stacks of clothes. One of them cried out in the distance, "Zogen Sie nicht, Mutter, wir bald kommen." I chased their hollering down the holler and cut out toward the rails. I saw the caboose and stopped at its sight. The hideous mistress there, waiting, already unwrapped, beastly, in the buff on the platformed back end. Her translucent breasts, bloated monstrosities, gallons of blood sloshing around coal-black plexuses inside. Peals of guttural laughter escaped the rail car, whose side windows' quantum-dim dormancy was now peopled with sharp profiles wading through yellow light. Waves of sound beat against me, the world filled up with body, hunic din. Might have been dozens of them crying out. Some shrilled, some roared, some at a higher or lower pitch, all common timbre, each colored a different shade of Varric's same voice. I spotted my Varric by the embryonic fragility persisting in his delicate limbs. Him and his siblings hobbled buck naked, bellies glut unto distension, coming close to the caboose. All in the all together, each carrying a wet burlap sack, jute bottoms leaking red Rorschach trails in the dirt. Varric waited to be last up on the platform. The other brothers trod the staircase in sequence as they surrendered their bloody haul. Their infernal mother took and held all 6 carcassed sacks, combined weight, took them each in a single hand, expending not an ounce of effort. Each brother gave her a peck on the unsightly cheek and, relinquishing his tribute, entered the caboose. Their brethren's frenzied celebration received the returnees from within, the other 6 having already joined the doghouse revelry. Varric mounted the platform steps. He stopped halfway like a commuter who dropped his billfold, hearing a sudden Good Samaritan yell after him. I watched, not knowing. Varric turned and faced me, naked body glistening with gristle, silver-gray mustache stained deep, gory red, while one stick-thin arm gripped the top of the oversized sack slung over his shoulder and pressed against his back. He raised his free hand, and, with a smile on his face, he waved. Through my tears, I smiled back at him. I waved back. I waved goodbye. They really do grow up so fast. Thanks for listening, and remember, you can get your copy of Alex Grass's Infernal Tramps now. Search for it on Amazon or click the link in the show notes. You can get ad-free episodes on patreon.com/scareyoutosleep. You can follow the show on social media at scareyoutosleep, and you can follow me personally at Shelby B. Novak. You can also find me on the Bloody Disgusting podcast every Wednesday and the Lady Killers podcast every Thursday. Thank you again so much for listening. I appreciate all your ears out there, every single one of them. So please come back next week and I will have some more scary stories for you. Go get some sleep. Sweet dreams.